Hey guys, hey, today I'm here with Rocky Felix. Rocky is the owner of Pure Custom Holsters. For some of you guys have had some questions about his holsters and what he does, and I thought I would just shoot a quick little video about who he is as a person, because some of you guys don't know who he is. He is kind of quiet, although he's very popular in the gun world when it comes to making leather holsters, but unlike any other leather holster, and I say that because not only am I a friend of his, I'm also a client, and I have several of his holsters. And I'll tell you, this was something that I think is overdue because a lot of people don't know much about Pure Custom other than it's a leather holster company, but I think it's far from just a leather holster company. So first off, I want to introduce everybody to Rocky. Thanks for taking time today to, yeah, absolutely.
It's a one-person leather company.
One person, that's you.
Yeah.
You are the only. Okay, so that's a good question. So a lot of people are like, well, what kind of operation do you have? Do you guys have like a factory? Do you have, and it's just you out of your house?
I'm the lot boy, I'm the mail boy, I'm the gopher, I'm everything.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing too, is I think people don't realize that one of the things that draws me to buying things that are maybe a little bit more expensive than others is the craftsmanship and the artistry that goes into it. I don't think a lot of people want just to be on an assembly line. And so to that question, how do you, like, what makes your holsters uniquely different than anybody else's?
When I first started, I did a holster. It was 2008. I did custom Harley painting around the world. I did Harley painting around the world.
Okay.
I did bikes in Germany. When 2008 happened, basically everything stopped. I was building custom, everything stopped. So I did a holster for myself, and I had a guy on 1911 forum or concealed carry forum go, wow, that looks like shit. And I'm like, oh, thanks, thanks a lot. Luckily, the guy lived in Phoenix. He's a retired sheriff, and he said, come to my house and I'll show you some holsters. Long story short, he gave me 2 holsters. I went home, played mad scientist for 2 weeks. Did everything I can possibly do to the leather to make it harder, and came back 2 weeks later and showed him 2 holsters, and he was literally blown away. And he said, these look like you've been doing them for 30 years. And in the beginning, I didn't want to make holsters. I wanted to do art holsters.
Yeah.
And the owner of VZ Grips sent me an email saying, if you never want to do anything else in your life but make holsters, make an IWB holster. Well, that was the birth of the Black Ops Pro, which to this day is still the only true, it's the only true IWB, OWB holster in the last 15 years. I'm the only one in the world
So
that
yeah,
makes
so,
one.
so yours you can wear outside the waistband. You can also wear them inside the waistband. But it's not just those, and that's a great story because I didn't know that either when I first met you. But what I realized when I first saw a video, and I don't know who it was, but some guy put like a 20-pound weight or a 15-pound weight.
That was me.
Yeah, maybe that was you.
Yeah.
Maybe your younger days, I'm just kidding. But you put a weight on your holster and it didn't collapse. And my biggest fear was if I want to put something inside my waistband, I don't want leather, because most leathers do collapse. And not that it's a big deal to reholster, but I just didn't feel comfortable having a gun that as I pulled it out of my waistband that the holster would collapse because of the belt. And so when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I bought my first one. I was shocked on how hard and stiff it became. I mean, it's 100% leather, and I'm like, there's got to be plastic or something in here, or Kydex, and I remember you said to me, no, this is actually called Cowdex, which something I think you came up with.
My buddy Randy goes, wow, this is like Kydex, but it's cow. He goes, it's Cowdex.
Yeah. And
right at that moment, he goes, I jump on the computer and he goes, what are you doing? I go, shut up. What are you doing? Shut up. I trademarked the name right there and then.
Yeah.
Cowdex. But yeah, it's leather, but it's hard like Kydex.
Yeah.
It will break into your body like leather will, but it still retains its hardness. Over time, they can get soft if you put them in water. There's a specific way.
But you just reharden them, right?
It'll reharden them.
Yeah. So that's the benefit of leather is obviously it conforms to your body.
Yeah.
And so it molds to your style or to your body type. But then as it starts to get a little soft, then you just put it in water for what, 2 minutes?
For 2 minutes, pull out. But the main thing, it has to be put under a fan to dry.
Okay.
But what I've found in 15 years, I've had 3 customers that I've talked to that hey, are they getting soft? And the one guy says, yeah, the one I carry the most. And I said, well, harden it. He goes, F you, dude, I'm not touching it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why? And he goes, perfect draw. It stays where you put it. I forget I'm wearing it.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
And I
Yeah.
was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I've only had 3 calls in 15 years saying, hey, can I harden it? So maybe people like them when they're broken.
So here's another point too, to your holsters. These are, I mean, you're not, I mean, and no offense to the SIGs or the Glocks or the MMPs and things like that, because those are great guns. But ultimately, your holsters you designed for Atlas, Nighthawk, STI. Like you're doing high-end premium stuff.
Yeah, but I used to do everything. I still
Sure.
do everything. Glock 6, 1911s. I did all of those up until 2016.
Okay.
When everybody was worried about, oh, they're going to ban guns, Hillary's running for president, you couldn't find a gun. Everybody was buying them. The minute
Sure.
Trump became president, nobody was buying guns.
Well, they felt
because-
safer.
Yeah, they weren't going to take them away. So the market fell.
Yeah.
I mean, it dropped. And I had a customer in 2017 say, hey, can you make me an STI? Yeah, no problem. I'll make you one. He loves it. And he said, you need to make these because nobody makes a leather holster for an STI.
Yeah.
I did STIs, then I did Wilsons. I met you doing Wilsons, and
Sure.
then you said, hey, I bought a bull. Can you make a holster?
You're like,
And you
"What's
gave
that?"
me the measurements for the bull.
Yeah.
And then I made a bull gun. And the reason why I do bull, Atlas, Infinity now
Nighthawk.
is because I worked in the body shop business for 25 years. I make my own mold guns.
Yeah.
Somebody has a new gun that I'm interested in doing. You give me the measurements, I'll make the mold gun, then I can start making holsters.
Well, I'll tell you, every single holster that I've ever gotten from you, and I think I'm up to well over double digits of
Yes.
holsters, they fit amazing. Like you still have to bag.
Yeah.
You still have to bag them and put them in, right, and overnight,
Yeah.
which is what you're supposed to do in leather. It's never too loose, and it's never too tight where you can't stretch it out.
And I want them to be tight.
Yeah,
I
no,
want-
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants a loose leather. I mean, that's like the Serpas, right? Nobody likes those. So, and that's one of the things that's unique about yours. But let's talk about the different styles of holsters you have. So it's not just OWB and IWB, right?
Well, I listen to my customers. The Black Ops Pro has been around for 15 years.
And that's the inside in, outside
Inside-
waistband. Yep.
Inside, outside. I had a Special Ops Pro that I'm going to phase out because I just came out with the Mini that you have.
Yep.
And I had a customer in San Diego, a very good customer, asked me, can you make something like this? And he was holding one of the Kydex ones, real small, and he said, can you make me one like that? And I said, no. And he teases me for telling him, you just said no. And I said, yeah. I said, no, I'm not going to do one. I said, let me do one my version.
Yeah.
And it's the wider with the 2 wings on the sides because it's better weight distribution.
Sure.
And I did that for him. I didn't market them for like 3-4 months. And then I had a guy ask for one for a bull. I had a guy make one for 1911. I said, yeah, maybe there's a market. And I made like 19 for Atlas, for the Knicks and the Aries. And they were gone in a month and a half. And I was
Yeah.
like, holy shit, okay. So then I started making them for Wilson, started making them for everybody. And it's actually probably more popular than the Black Ops Pro, which totally shocked me. I didn't
Well,
think
and
there would be a
I
market.
don't think a lot of people realize this, but you also make an inside the waistband appendix.
That's the Mini.
That's the Mini,
Yeah.
and I have that. And I got to tell you, that's a really unique holster.
Yeah, the Mini's right up there with the Black Ops Pro as far as popularity.
Popularity.
And then my friend Eddie from the Vault, I want to do things that nobody else does.
Sure.
That's the main thing. And because I have the hardening solution down, I'm still today the only guy that covers optics. I'll cover the optics, make them with lights. No other leather company in
Sure.
the world does that. That's because of my hardening solution.
Sure.
And Eddie goes, can you make a QLS holster? And I'm like, yeah, let me see. And I just finished 8 QLS holsters.
Well, I have 2 of them, and I
you
love
have
them.
2 of them.
Yeah, so Rocky just made me a QLS holster for my drop leg for my FNX 45, and then I also have one for my
The
2011s, yep, for my Atlases.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, that is my favorite holster by far. When it comes to any holster I have, that is by far my favorite holster.
Yeah.
I have the Safari Lands. I have my competition one where it's a Red Hill Tactical, great. But I'll tell you, my favorite by far is that
And
QLS.
they're hard to do because of the attachment plate.
Yeah.
The attachment plate has to be perfect.
Well, you have one here, though. This isn't the covered
This
optics.
is the new holster.
This is a
called
new
the
one, okay.
Racer. I've already sold them without people even looking at them.
Now, this one does not cover the optic, but the other ones do cover the optic.
Yes, this one was meant for speed,
Okay.
and it's over the waistband. Basically, what it is a wider, half an inch wider mini.
Okay.
But
And where would that sit at? Where would you put that one? How would that sit? Would that sit
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock? Okay, so almost on
Yeah,
your belt.
Zero cant or slide cant.
Okay.
But everybody that's seen them go, that's cool. And the reason why I didn't want to cover the optics is I wanted it for speed. I built it for myself. This is for my XC for a steel challenge
Nice.
that I want to do.
Yeah.
I've sold some to guys on farms. They said they want it for their range, for their yard. A home defense holster for them.
Spin that around. What's it look like on the back of that? Yeah, so it contours to your body really well.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
wings, guys, you're seeing right there. So they're hard, but as you wear it, and see how he takes the holster right here. See how he actually indents that.
Yes, and it's basically for the steel challenge.
Yeah.
I make them for. I've already have some made for Atlas for Bull. I just did one for a customer for Bull, but it's. I'm gonna make some for inventory 5-inch guns.
Sure.
I just made one for an Infinity also.
Now, if somebody wants to see it though, like the assortment of guns or the holsters you have, best way to get. I mean, obviously.
Everything is on the website.
Yeah, they're probably watching this on YouTube. This is going to go on YouTube or your website. So if you're on YouTube and you haven't seen the link below, it's purecustomwithak.com. That'll take you to the main site. And then you can fish through there and kind of look at the inventory and or the different models. But I will tell you that as Rocky, as I've known him, I call him more of a craftsman and an artisan because that's really what he does. This stuff that he has here is not something you're going to find on a assembly line. Not one is the same as the others, even though I have a whole bunch of them. Every one is specific to every gun, and it's very unique. So
Yeah, when somebody wants something, I make sure it's for that gun. Not. You'll never hear, yeah, it might fit. Oh, no, I don't use that. I make it for that gun.
okay, so now one of the questions a lot of people are going to have is the pricing of these. We're not going to talk pricing today, only because I think it makes sense that if you're concerned, if you're budget conscious of a holster, this may not be the one for you. This is going to be the one that you're going to jump into as you realize, hey, I just bought a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $7,000 gun. Do I really want to stick that in a plastic holster? So when I first saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, they're a little up there in price, but I'll tell you, it lasts for, I mean, it's literally
It will last forever.
yeah, 100-year warranty, I guarantee it. No, I'm just kidding. Whatever that looks like, look, it's worth the money because, I mean, your most expensive one, you do this 3D, can be up in the neighborhood of $2,500, right?
They start at 25.
Yeah, it's $2,500. But the average price ones are,
Average $300.
Okay, yeah, so $300.
With optics, $290. They start at $240.
yeah. So
But the reason why they're expensive is I only buy American-made products. Leather, you can get for $5 a square foot. I pay $15 a square foot.
Sure.
My leather, I've been dealing with this company for 14 years.
Yeah.
They actually will go through the hides and hand pick what I want because they know my quality. Dyes, you could buy a case of dye for $150. I spend $400 a case, but I buy the best materials that I can buy out there, and then the knowledge that I have for making them.
But
It's
well, not only
pretty
that,
good.
but I think people don't realize these are 100% handmade.
Yes.
100%. There's a sewing machine involved.
Yeah. But I don't even use a clicker. Most companies, especially most companies that won't make like left-handed holsters. I sold 8 of them last week.
Yeah.
They won't make left-handed holsters because they use a clicker, which is basically a cookie cutter. It cuts one pattern
Sure.
one way. They can't reverse.
It's like a press, right? It
Yeah,
kind of
they
presses
can't
down.
reverse it to make a left-handed holster.
Sure.
I hand cut every holster I make because also too, every combination. They have an SRO, they have an X300, or they have a TLR7. There's so many different variations that I cut each individual holster by hand.
So I call Rocky a tailored, bespoke, custom artisan, craftsman, leather holster maker. It's almost like going to a leather crafts shoe store and having custom made shoes that are hand built for you. And that's one of the things that really inspires me about what I do as well. But I buy nice guns and I do spend some money on them because I love the craftsmanship. I don't, you know, and no offense to, like I said, some of those other guns out there, and there's a lot of great guns that are assembly lined and made with MIM parts and all that stuff. That doesn't excite me. What excites me is the quality and craftsmanship that somebody here in the U.S., right, because I do believe that is some of the best artists and craftsmen in the world, can spend time and energy. I mean, how long does one holster take to make?
Over time, I'll cut it, I'll let it dry, I'll mold it, I'll let it dry.
So what's the time like?
A couple hours.
Okay, so from start to finish, you can have
but it'll be over days, not
Sure.
2 hours. There's a whole.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if you were to take it from start to finish, where I could actually start using it, from the time you get your order to the time I could actually use it, it's
when
hardened.
I'm rocking and rolling, my time for the last 15 years is usually 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
I got buried last year with business was fantastic last
Sure.
year. I went up to 8 to 12 weeks.
Sure.
Right now, lately, because I've had you wanting to be an investor and several other people
Yeah.
wanting to be investor, and I said, it's not a production, right now with me, it's not a production problem. It's a, like you said, obscurity problem.
Yeah.
People don't know who I am.
Yep. Well, until they get them, because every time I see people who are like, hey, what's the best leather holster for my new Atlas? And I'll post on there, Pure Custom, and then there's always some guy, one or two guys that are like, oh my God, Rocky's the best, this is the best holster ever.
Yeah.
And some people are like, I've never heard of them. And I'm like, yeah, that is sometimes the issue, I think, with small businesses like yourself, is that because they are so bespoke and so custom, that it's not mainstream. People just don't hear about it like you hear, you know, what's the other leather company? I won't say the name. But my point is that you're not out there making.
I've never advertised.
Well, that's my point, is that it's all word of mouth, right? So, and one of the things that I think is important to understand as well is that, you know, if he doesn't have something, or if it's going to take something 8 to 12 weeks to make, or 4 to 6 weeks, or whatever it is, there's times you have stuff in stock, right? You have things.
I try to keep a running inventory.
Sure.
In the last 6 months, the number one sellers for me is Atlas.
Yeah.
And Bull and Staccato, the CS.
Yeah.
Those have been my 3 big ones since January.
Yeah. Well, Staccato CS has definitely taken off.
I'm getting into the Infinities, where a lot of people are starting to know that I do Infinities.
Sure.
I could pretty much do any gun. I just did some M5s, the Combat Precisions.
Nice.
If I don't and I want to make, you know, it's a popular gun, I'll start making them. But I think I'm pretty tapped out right now time-wise with Atlas, Infinity, Bull. And like I said, I make every other manufacturer. Most of them lately is, like most people tell me, I'm the 2011 guy. I'm the high-end guy.
I think you are definitely the high-end 2011
And that's the majority of my customers.
Yeah.
But I do sell Glocks and stuff, but it's
Sure.
always a previous customer that
Sure.
knows the quality. But my holsters are built. I don't put, oh, it's got a such and such. It'll last a lifetime. If
Yeah.
you don't oil it, it'll last a lifetime. And like I said, if it ever got soft or you're like, put it in water. There's no maintenance on the holsters.
Nice.
The way I make them, I lock the oils into the leather. So it took me 2 weeks being mad scientist to come up with it. And it's like 6 months after I made my first holsters, I literally walked on a holster without a gun in it. I was bringing groceries and crushed it. And I was like, wow, okay, put it in water, pulled it out. You can't tell which was the one I crushed. And
Wow.
I don't know, did I ever tell you that I want to do a video with my dually and drive over one?
Yeah, that would be
I've been
awesome.
wanting to do it, but I'm a one person, so I have to
Yeah.
get somebody to go to the house to video it, and I'm going to
Yeah.
run over a damn holster.
That's a great idea.
But I know every aspect of my leather, how I make them the way I
Sure.
make them.
Well, they're worth the money, and I can test that. Even I'm not an investor. I'm just a friend, and honestly, I'm just a huge fan of what you do. And like I said, he just dropped off the other QLS holster, and I was so excited to get it. I bagged it, and I'm going to start using it. So, Mr. Rocky, thank you, sir, for taking your time today. Yeah, and if you guys have any questions on anything at all about what you're seeing, or down below is going to be all the links and things that you can go to Rocky's website, his phone number if you want to give him a call, and then if you guys have any questions on anything, reach out to him. And I'm sure this will be one of many new holster videos to come.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about, you told me that I need to do a video with me on the video, and I said, well, a lot of people know me from your channel,
Sure.
from your video, so I said, why don't you interview me?
Yeah, awesome.
I don't like taking pictures. I don't like taking videos.
You did a great job. All right, Mr. Rocky,
you.
thank you, sir. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks.